A young boy named Ethan lived in the middle of Houston. When he was 13, the world was a blank canvas with endless possibilities, and dreams were the guiding stars of youth. Ethan's life was linked with soccer in many ways. It wasn't just a hobby for him, it was a thing that kept him alive. From dawn to dusk, a soccer ball was an extension of his body, and the game's movements danced in his heart. Every morning, when the sun peered over Houston's skyline, its golden rays seemed to bless Ethan's passion for the beautiful game. It all started with a worn-out leather soccer ball his father gave him for his 5th birthday. The ball had marks from all the previous games that had been played in the backyard, in the park, and on dusty fields. As soon as Ethan's little foot touched it for the first time, there was a spark, a link that went beyond words. As a kid, he would run from home to school, carelessly tossing his backpack on the ground to kick the ball against the white picket fence that was falling apart in the backyard. Robert's father, a former football player whose dreams never quite came true, watched him with a twinkle in his eye. This wasn't just a game for him, it was the start of a career. Robert, Ethan's father, had his own background in soccer. He used to play for the Houston team when he was younger. Even though he hadn't reached the highest ranks of his sport, he never gave up on it. He thought that Ethan could do things that he himself couldn't. With a homemade soccer goal and orange cones, their backyard became a special place to train. Many dribbling drills had been done on the grass, and father and son often shared their love with a happy attitude. When the sun went down and the backyard turned a warm orange color, Robert said to Ethan in a wise voice, "Ethan, remember that soccer is about more than just skill. It's about heart and determination. You can do anything if you believe in yourself and work hard." Ethan nodded and looked determined. "Dad, I want to be a professional soccer player like Messi." Robert played with his son's hair while smiling kindly. "Son, I'm sure you can do it. It won't be easy though. Are you ready to take on the mission?" Everyone is impressed by Ethan's skills. He joined the Houston Hurricanes, a local soccer team for kids, when he was just 8 years old. These boys weren't just friends, they were like real brothers. They worked out together and laughed together, and they were always there for each other. Their practices were like long runs where they worked hard. They did a lot of work under the sun, which helped them get better and better. In the park where they practiced, there was laughter, friendly joking, and the sound of soccer balls hitting boots and birds singing. Jake, who was Ethan's best friend, was the top scorer of the Houston Hurricanes. Their friendship was almost magical, both on and off the court. When Jake scored, Ethan usually helped set up the goal, and when Ethan scored, Jake was the first to celebrate with him. Their bond was the strongest part of their team, because they trusted each other and had similar goals. One hot summer night, after a hard practice, Ethan and Jake were tired, but happy as they sat on the grass. Ethan looked at the bright circle of the sun as it went down. He told Jake, "You know, I've always wanted to be like Messi and play in a big stadium, like the Houston Stadium." Jake agreed, and the same dream was in his eyes. "Yes, Ethan, we'll do it, both of us. We'll be there to show what Houston is all about." The two friends put their hands behind their head, leaned back, and watched as the stars began to shine. Ethan's room was like a special place for Lionel Messi. He was his favorite player. There were pictures of Messi everywhere on the walls, each picture capturing a moment of Messi's amazing moves and celebrations. There was a big Messi poster right above Ethan's bed. Messi was smiling and stretching out his arms on the picture, which reminded Ethan of the big goals he wanted to reach. There was an old book on his desk. Inside, Ethan had made pictures of Messi's passes and goals. It was like a journal of ideas, and as a way to show how Messi made magic every time he touched the ball. Ethan loved watching Messi's best games, and imagining himself doing the same things on the field as his hero. Messi made a big difference, not just in sports, but also in other parts of life. Ethan learned from both Messi's styles, and the way he worked hard. Ethan was inspired by how hard Messi worked to become such a superstar. Ethan knew everything about Messi's life, from how he started out in Rosario to how he became a great player in Barcelona. Messi wasn't just a soccer player to Ethan. He saw him as a shining example of what people with natural ability and a lot of hard work could do. One night, Ethan had an injury. His dad walked into the room while he was watching a movie of Messi's best plays on his laptop. Robert was standing by the door and looked very happy and was amazed how much Ethan enjoyed the game. "Ethan, don't forget that Messi didn't become great all of a sudden. He worked hard for a long time." Ethan said yes, without taking his eyes off the TV. "I get it, Dad, but one day I'll make our city great, like Messi did for Rosario." Robert put his hands on Ethan's shoulder, like a dad showing his kid he's there for him. "Ethan, you've already made me proud. You've put so much effort into the game and shown how much you care about it. This injury doesn't make you who you are. We'll work through it together." One day, the sun was shining brightly in Houston. The young Houston Hurricanes got an offer that would change their lives forever. They were asked to play a friendly game against the famous Dallas Dynamos at the big Houston Stadium. For these young soccer players, it was like a dream come true. They had a chance to show how good they were. During one of their workouts, the team heard the news. As they brought all the players together and told them the news, Coach Ramirez looked very happy. Ethan's heart was beating fast. He had a big smile on his face while looking at Jake. They had wanted to play in the Houston Stadium for a long time. It was like a dream come true for them. Jake slapped Ethan on the back and asked him, "Can you believe it, buddy? We're going to play where the pros do." Ethan was so happy that his voice started to shake a bit. "I've always wanted this to happen, Jake. Everyone is going to see how good we are." After hearing the news, the team worked even harder at their practice. They worked out hard because they were going to play on a unique pitch. Everyone in the area was looking forward to the day when the Houston Hurricanes would play against the Dallas Dynamos. It was going to be a game that people would talk about for a long time. When the big match day came, Houston Stadium was full of energy. The stadium looked warm in the morning sun. All the tall buildings of the city made a great view behind it. People came to the stadium from all over the city, and you could feel how excited everyone was. Ethan and his friends went to the field by walking through a tunnel. In the dark cave, their steps made echoes. The crowd noise kept getting louder, and Ethan's heart was beating fast because he was excited and a little nervous. He looked at Jake, who had a tight grip on his arm. Jake sounded happy and a little dizzy. "Ethan, can you really believe we're here? We're walking on the same field as the stars we admire." At the same time, Ethan smiled and looked serious. "Let's make the most of this, Jake. Now is our chance to show how good we are." As soon as they stepped onto the field, they knew how big and important everything was. The Houston Hurricanes were playing against the Dallas Dynamos, and there were a lot of people in the stadium cheering for them. It was like the fulfillment of a dream. The game started with a lot of excitement, which was perfect for the big moment. On the field, the players ran very quickly, and the crowd cheered loudly with every pass, tackle, and shot on goal. In the middle of the field, where Ethan likes to play, you could feel the energy of the game. The score was still tied as the first half was almost over. The Dallas Dynamos were a tough team, but the Houston Hurricanes did a great job against them. It showed how good they were and how hard they worked. Then, a scary thing happened. While Ethan was running towards the goal, a player from the Dallas Dynamos tried to tackle him. The hit wasn't very careful, and the fall was very hard. Ethan's left leg was hurt terribly, and he fell down to the ground. Everyone in the crowd knew how serious it was, so it got very quiet. Ethan looked like he was in a lot of pain as he held his hurt knee. The team's coach, Ramirez, and the physiotherapist came to help him. Jake got down next to him and looked very worried. "Ethan, are you alright?" Ethan squeezed his lips together, and tears came to his eyes. "I'm not sure, Jake. It hurts very much." Ethan was quickly taken to the hospital. There, they heard some very bad news. The doctor said that Ethan tore his ACL, which was a very serious injury. He had to have surgery and take a long time to heal. Worst of all, he might never be able to play soccer seriously again. In the hospital, Ethan had to lie in a bed. His leg was hard to move because it was in a big brace. Robert, his dad, was sitting next to him and looked very worried. It felt like the room was very small. and what the doctor said felt like a lot. Robert did his best to cheer Ethan up. "I'm really sorry, Ethan. I have no idea how hard this must be for you." Ethan was trying hard not to cry, and his voice shook. "Dad, I wanted to make you happy. I always wanted to play in big arenas like this one." Robert touched Ethan's shoulder with his hand. "Ethan, you've already made me proud. You've been very dedicated. This injury doesn't define you. We'll get through this together." Things got very bad for Ethan. He had a cast placed on his leg when he got home. His hopes of becoming a soccer player were crushed. His room, where he used to have pictures of Messi and dream about getting lots of goals, felt like a prison now. When he heard a soccer ball hit the wall, it hurt because it made him think of what he had lost. His teammates tried to cheer him up, but nothing they said or did really helped him feel better. He was very sad. He didn't want to be with other people. Messi posters on his wall seemed like they were laughing at his dreams that he couldn't reach anymore. Jake sat next to Ethan's bed one night. As the sun set outside his window, he spoke softly but seemed sure of himself. "Don't give up, Ethan. You're still the great player we all know and love." Ethan just looked at the ceiling and gave a small nod. "I'm not sure, Jake. All the things I worked hard on don't seem to matter anymore." Jake knew what he was going through. "No, Ethan. It's not like that. It's hard, but it's not the end of the world. Even if it takes a while, we'll help you get back to playing." Ethan looked at Jake, and his eyes started to look more hopeful. "Do you really think so?" Jake smiled. "I know so. We're in this together, remember?" After many weeks and months, Ethan's knee began to feel better. He went to rehab and worked very hard to make it stronger. He really wanted to play soccer again, and his desire grew stronger every day. Jake, in particular, was there for Ethan the whole time. They saw how carefully he stuck to his therapy plan and how hard he pushed himself. During this hard time, they had grown closer as friends, and they didn't want Ethan to give up on his dreams. The Houston Hurricanes had a meeting one night in a quiet part of the park where they used to train. The sun was setting, and there were long shadows in the field. Jake spoke up and seemed very sure of himself. "The story of Ethan isn't over. We've been there for him through everything, and we won't give up on him now." Jake was right, and everyone agreed, even if it was just for a short time. The team had a plan to get Ethan back on the field. The way they looked at Ethan showed how much they wanted to help him. It showed how well the Houston Hurricanes worked together as a team. As the sun went down where the Houston Hurricanes practiced, the team got together to make a plan. Coach Ramirez, who always gave the boys hope, was also there and gave them advice. Jake spoke up. He was like a strong boss. "Guys, we can't let Ethan's dream end just like that. We should do something really cool for him." Everyone nodded to show that they agreed, and Ethan, who was sitting in the middle of the circle, looked really happy to see that they were on his side. Coach Ramirez added, "We could set up a game just for Ethan right here in Houston. It could be like a special farewell game, giving him one last chance to play." Ethan got really emotional. "Would you really do that for me?" Everyone agreed. Everyone really wanted it to happen. When people heard about how hard Ethan and Houston Hurricanes worked, they wanted to help by donating jerseys, tools, and other things. Everyone in the city was eager to help. As the date of the special match got closer, people in Houston got more and more excited. There were signs and ads everywhere about the match, and everyone was talking about it. A week before the match, Jake and some of his teammates stopped by Ethan's room one night to surprise him. They made him a shirt that fit him perfectly. It had his name and a number on it. All of the people were happy and laughing. This made Ethan feel very special, and it gave him a feeling of determination. As the game got closer, the Houston Hurricanes started talking much more seriously. Coach Ramirez stressed how important it was for them to work together and have a good mood. They worked even harder than before in Ethan's practice, not only for themselves but also to show respect for Ethan's dedication to the team. Ethan didn't miss practice even though his leg was still in a cast. He was always there to help his team and cheer them on. He paid a lot of attention and thought a lot about their plays and plans. Even in his room, he had some new ideas written on his whiteboard. Everyone worked hard because of Ethan's strong will. They all wanted his final match to be special. Everyone in his city was on their side, which made them even more determined. They worked really hard at practice, which made their practice sessions very hard. Coach Ramirez said a lot about how important it is to work together and have a good mood, even though they were still pretty young. The guys worked hard. They knew that this game was about more than just soccer. It was a way to show respect for Ethan's love of the sport. Ethan was always at practice. He watched the plays from the sidelines, helped his friends, and cheered for them. Everyone wanted to work just as hard as he did, because he was so driven. One day, Jake went to Ethan while they were practicing corner kicks. He knew Ethan liked to cut corners, so he smiled and asked, "Ethan, do you want to cut some corners today? You do it the best." Ethan's face lit up, and he took the ball and went to the corner. He set it on the white mark and thought about how he wanted to kick it. He swung his stick and hit the ball right in the area where Jake was standing. Jake put in the goal with his head, and everyone cheered, and Ethan's smile was as bright as the sun. Those times when he felt like he was back in the game were very important. Even when they weren't practicing, they were getting ready for the game, because Ethan loved soccer so much. Businesses in the city wanted to help. They offered money and shirts to help. They even made a sign for the stadium with Ethan's picture on it. Ethan's room became something like a place to plan. He put up posters of great soccer games and made plans of how they should be played. He wrote down his ideas for the team's roles and plans with marker. His friends paid close attention and were eager to do what he was telling them. As the day of the match got closer, people in Houston got more and more excited. Everyone was talking about it, and there were signs and pictures everywhere. The stadium where Ethan got hurt, the Houston Stadium, said they would have the game there for free. It showed how much people cared in the city. The whole Houston Hurricanes team worked hard together, and so did their friends and family. They set up the seats, got the food ready, and made the field look like the colors of their team. When the sun went down the day before the game, the team went to Ethan's place to talk. They were all very happy and a little bit scared. Coach Ramirez was proud of what he said. "There's more to the game tomorrow than just sports. It's about staying strong as a group. We'll show everyone what it means to always be there for your friends." Ethan looked at his friends and felt so grateful that he had them. "I couldn't ask for better friends and teammates. Let's go out and make our city proud tomorrow." Everyone applauded and cheered. They had only one more day to get ready, and they were committed to do their best. During those 5 special minutes, Ethan felt like his life was back. As he moved past the other players, the ball seemed to be a part of him. He made it look really easy. He and his friends were really good at passing the ball, and everything they did seemed almost magical. Lots of happy people in the crowd cheered very loudly. Jake, who was running with Ethan, smiled and gave him the ball. Ethan began to run in the direction of the goal. He kicked the ball softly over the goalie's head, and it went into the goal. Everyone in the crowd clapped and cheered, so much that Ethan almost forgot about his hurt knee. As Ethan moved off the field, the crowd cheered for him. Everyone in the crowd seemed to be holding their breath, as if they wanted to remember this moment. The tears came to Ethan's eyes, but he wasn't sad. He was just very grateful and had lots of feelings. The clapping was very loud, and it felt like a big cheer that reached Ethan's heart. Once strangers, the people in the crowd now looked friendly and familiar. It seemed like they all had his dream and helped with it. His teammates came up to him and gave him hugs. Coach Ramirez gave Ethan a pat on the back while looking proud. "You did it, Ethan. You showed us what it means to keep going no matter what." Ethan used the microphone to talk to the crowd. His voice was weak, but powerful. "I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. This game and this moment are so important to me. It's a lesson that we can solve any problem if we all work together. Thank you for helping me hold on to my dream." The clapping got louder and louder, like a warm wave. Ethan would never forget what happened that night. It gave him hope and strength for whatever would come next. Not only did the special match heal hearts, but it also made a big difference in how much money they had. The money from selling tickets, donations, and the money from the area's businesses was a lot. The people in the area showed how much they cared by helping someone from their own homes. Houston still felt like a strong team after the game. The people were very happy to hear about the big donation for Ethan's hospital bills. The people in the city heard a lot about it on the news, which showed how loving and united people could be when things were hard. All the help meant a lot to Ethan's family. They had less trouble with money now than they did before. This let them focus on helping Ethan get better and try new things. They were so grateful for everyone's help that they wanted to thank everyone that helped. Ethan, the brave kid who didn't want to give up when things got hard, was at the center of everything. People found hope in Ethan's story and showed everyone that kind people can make good things happen, even when things are hard. Ethan's life took an unexpected turn, but he learned that soccer was about a lot more than just winning. It was about how people can help each other, and how strong people can be. Even though he couldn't play soccer for a living, he stayed close to it by coaching. He shared what he knew and how much he loved soccer with young players. He used what he had learned from his own life to help them and told them to follow their dreams like he had. People are still moved by Ethan's story, the way he stood up for himself, and how much his friends and community cared for him. Show how powerful it is to stand together. He started helping young athletes and showed them that they can be strong and have a purpose even when things are hard. As time went on, his injuries stopped hurting. He felt great when he helped others reach their goals. He knew he wasn't as good as Messi, but he was still a hero in his own way. He showed that good things can happen even when they are hard. Ethan's story gave people in Houston hope and showed how strong and determined people can be. Every year there was a special match that brought everyone together and helped young players who needed help. It showed how strong Ethan's dream was and brought everyone in the city closer together.